Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, while you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink, I don't know if you can see it, but I've used about 40% of the bottle. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see that. But, Noodler's Blue American Eel. So, it's a lubricated ink. Nice standard blue. Now, you might be asking, why did you get the lubricated version? And the answer is, I don't know. Just did. For some reason I've got cactus eel, black eel, red eel, like all the basic colors in eel, and I don't exactly know why, but yeah, blue eel. All the tests were done in this Platinum Preppy with a medium nib. Or an 05 nib, whichever. Check out the chromatography, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a very light blue, goes into a slightly more medium blue, and then it has this bare little almost W of dark blue right up at the top. So let's check out some paper tests. Top down in density, Clairefontaine 90 grams per square meter. Now, one of the reasons why it's good to use an eel in a Preppy is because I find them to be fairly dry writing pens. So this way they flow nicely and you get a bit of shading like you see here in the writing. Now 11 seconds to dry, which might be a bit long, but again, this is a lubricated ink and those do generally take a bit longer to dry. And this is Clairefontaine paper, so yeah, no bleed feather spread, no echo, no sheen. And kind of like we saw in the chromatography paper, what remains, and there's seriously not much of it, is a much lighter shade of blue. Next is Rhodia 80 grams per square meter, where again you get some pretty nice shading. And in the scrubbies. Again, 11 seconds to dry, which, you know, is not terrible, but it kind of makes sense if you know your ink and your paper and your pen. I said flirts with sheen, and that a wetter pen for sure was sheen, which is true. Like on the outline, the little halo around the scrubby bit, you can see that it's almost there. Not much water resistance, and what is there is that super light shade of blue. Next is Tomoe River Paper, where it took 13 seconds to dry, which again makes sense if you understand lubricated inks and you sort of know Tomoe River Paper. It's got nice shading. It's a nice vibrant blue, and here you do see sheen. I'm going to try and get it on camera. It's like a red metallic sheen around the outside of that scrubby. Well, anyways, I tried, sorry. In a wetter pen, this would definitely sheen on this paper, so no bleed feather spread. I said I rather like this pen, paper, and ink combo. Again, not much there, but what is there is that sort of almost near fluorescent bright blue. Now, where the super dark scrubby bit is, that might be an echo problem, but for the most part, I think it's okay. 20-pound copier paper, where it took 1.5 seconds to dry. Yeah, I said it keeps like 2% of its shading, because there's like the odd bit where you kind of see shading, but just barely. There was no spread. So it stayed like a, you know, pretty basic medium size, but there was some bleed and there was some feather. I think this is the best water test we've seen so far, so on absorbent paper, perhaps it's more resistant to water. And see, really not that much bleed through. Just the odd dot here and there. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where it did get a bit lighter. And for some reason it took 3 seconds to dry when it took only 1.5 on the regular copier paper. Yeah, I said that there wasn't as much bleed feather spread as I had anticipated, and I think it's because Preppies tend to be such dry writers. But there is some pretty serious echo even where there wasn't full bleed through. And that's not a very good water test, but yeah. As you can see, not great, but could be worse. Next is Moleskine notebook paper. Come on, camera, what's up with you today? Where you still get some bits of shading, like if you see at the top of the N or the bottom of these letters, it's a little darker than at the top. 6 seconds to dry, which is comparatively long, but again, it's a lubricated ink and Moleskine paper makes absolutely no sense whatsoever sometimes. Water test is kind of explodey and feathery and mostly gone. But, I mean, that could be much worse. I mean, we've seen much, much worse on Moleskine paper. I mean, you get like the odd dot here and there. But, yeah, so could be worse. So for your consideration, Noodler's Blue American Eel. Obviously I like it because I've used like that much of it. It's a good basic blue. The lubricated properties to it make it nice to use in things like a Preppy or a Parker Vector, or I have a broad vanishing point that sometimes is kind of resistant to good ink flow, and this certainly helps with that. So for your consideration from the Triple N Network, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. Bye.